Good morning. So just after or just before 4:30 this morning, Phoenix Fire Department was alerted to reports of a working apartment fire near 23rd Avenue in Dunlap. We balanced it to a 3-in-1 working fire. The proximity of Station 60 is basically across the street, but we have a wall and we've got rocks, and it was a tough, you couldn't just go straight into the fire. The trucks had to go around. They had a coordinated attack. 2 fire trucks run out of this station. The first truck took a hand line like we would do on a working fire straight up the stairs to the second floor. The second truck, engine 910, made a deliberate effort and saw that the best route of attack was to immediately ladder an exterior window. They laddered that window, broke it out, and effectively rescued 2 adults and a 10-year-old female out of that. For that time of morning, you would expect a fire to get working for a while. So as far as firefighter terms, it was heavy fire and heavy smoke upon arrival, which effectively we were 2 minutes after dispatch with our hands on those people, with firefighters that were sound asleep at the fire station. Unfortunately, during engine 960's initial search of the apartment, we did come upon a deceased 4-year-old female within the apartment. At that time, unfortunately, she was beyond resuscitative efforts for Phoenix Fire Department to intervene in that, and she was left in place for fire investigators. I can't tell you much how saddened we are that we did lose a 4-year-old, but also that fire crew made a heroic effort to get those last 3 people, the 2 adults and the 1 10-year-old that was still in that apartment, out of that fire. It was a fast-moving fire. It was a very hot fire. It had already started making its way into the next door apartment at that time. There were working smoke detectors. The people that lived in that apartment did tell our rescuers that the smoke detectors did alert them and wake them up, but there was just a tremendous amount of fire. And unfortunately, that fire was near the front door, the only way out of that apartment at that time. We stopped this fire from spreading in throughout this entire apartment complex. We've got the fire investigation task force team on scene right now. We've got our arson sniffing dog, Sunny, that is also on scene right now. We're going to be out here all day investigating this fire scene. Again, just a tragic morning for us that we did lose a 4-year-old, but luckily 3 others did escape the fire. They're at county. Right now we've got an adult female that is in critical condition. We've got an adult male and a 10-year-old female that are also recovering. They're a little bit more stable than the adult female right now. Obviously, that's fluid. Everything changes when you go to the burn unit, depending on how fast you can either start recovering or deteriorating. So we will update that later in the day.
Is there any, I know it's still early in the investigation, but is there any reason or any thought on what may have caused this fire?
It's too early, and unfortunately, when you have a fire that burns that hot with that tremendous amount of fire and smoke, it's a lot harder for investigators. I did take a look in that apartment. It's complete destruction. There is destruction all the way to the studs in the wall. The drywall's gone. Most of the furniture burned up. Very hot, very fast-moving fire. So that's then becomes unfortunately, those are the speed bumps when investigating a fire of that cause. But we do have the accelerant dog, highly trained to see if there is any. We just have to dot the I's, cross the T's to make sure that we investigate this fully, because there is a deceased child involved.
And how long did you say was between the dispatch and before firefighters were able to actually be in the apartment?
Right. So if you think about it, 911 has to be dispatched. The computer has to see who's the closest. All of that takes place in seconds, but you still have to get folks out onto the trucks. Trucks started up out of the bay. Even within that, within 2 minutes, we had hands on our people within those folks inside that apartment. The fire station is located right next door, but we still had to get that apparatus there, get those hose lines charged, and get up there. I can tell you that the firefighters did put their lives in line. They didn't even have time to get their coats on. They just laddered that, made their way up that ladder immediately, and just started getting people out of that apartment from that.
So, I mean, with that amount of time, I mean, did the 4-year-old really even have a chance?
Probably not. Unfortunately, there was just a tremendous amount of fire. I can't overstate that enough. We have fires that start as contents fires, fills the whole apartment with smoke, and we get up in there and it looks worse than it is. We start hitting that fire, smoke clears out, but this was just literally, the firefighters told the investigators it was fire rolling out of that front door. the minute they were making their way up those stairs. They had to open the hand line as they were making their way up the stairs. That's how much fire was coming out of that apartment.
And how normal is that? Because most people don't understand
Right.
exactly. I mean, is that common in an apartment fire?
Well, apartment fires are their own animal. It depends on the age and when it was built. If it's brick, if it's, like this one, lightweight construction. So wherever that fire started, it had time to get rolling before either they heard the smoke detectors or one was located a little bit away from that room. But normally, fire at 2 in the afternoon, you see something's on fire, you immediately get everybody out. But when you're sound asleep at 4:30 in the morning, unfortunately, that's when it's most dangerous. The statistics back that up. It's just, it's the perfect storm for a tragedy like that, to have that much fire and early in the morning when everybody's asleep.
Any indication that it was maybe a Christmas tree or a candle? Or is there a
We're
Christmas
looking
tree
into
inside?
that. Yep. So we're looking in that right now to see if there are decorations up there. I noticed some. The apartment next door does have a tree up that wasn't affected. They made a good stop on not that much damage on the next door apartment. But right now, like I said, it's they're looking at that to make, that's obviously this time of year, the first place we would look, a tree, a live tree, anything that would cause that fire.
Are you able to say if it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom? Did it look like they're trying to get the 4-year-old out? Was the 4-year-old sleeping in the same room as the 10-year-old?
Yeah, none of that information right now, unfortunately.
This is a family. We know that is the woman's mom.
So we don't. So we're still putting together the familiar relationship that they have in there. We know it's an adult female, an adult male, and then 2 young children. Not sure of the relationship right now.
The smoke detectors were functioning, but a lot of things go into that, such as the age of the building, the age of the smoke detectors, because they're supposed to go off at the slightest hint of smoke, not once it's really rolling.
Yep. And what we've noticed, though, on a 2-bedroom apartment with a front room like this one is, unfortunately, if there's multiple smoke detectors, and even as loud as they can be, as much of a heavy sleeper you are or a light sleeper you are, there's still that time allotted. Do I hear something? I feel it's not. If it was a smoke detector right outside their door, that would probably really alert them. But depending on the proximity of it, it still could take somebody 3 to 4 minutes to finally realize, wait, that is something that's trying to alert me to get up. It's almost like having your iPhone alarm in your family room going off, and you're in your room and you know that sound, but it takes you a while to recognize really what's going on.
Because I know in newer ones, they're actually interconnected, so that one goes off.
Exactly.
All of them do.
Yep.
Not in this case.
Probably not, but we'll have to investigate that. But that's a great point. They're probably individually operated smoke detectors where it won't alert the other one to go off.
Was there some neighbor that came and alerted them?
I don't have that information yet, so we'll look into that to see if that's possible. But I think everything happened so fast, but that might have been, there was obviously, with a child in the apartment, there was obviously a concerted effort. They had, at some point in time before our folks arrived, they knew there was trouble and danger within there, just due to the fact that they were to the window already while we were pulling up.
Do you know how many people were inside total?
4. 2 adults, and then a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. And there's some varying ages on those adults right now that we're looking into to make sure we can get it. It looks to be like they're both within their 30s.
All family, I assume.
We don't know. We don't know their relationship right now. Obviously there is. We're still trying to piece that together.
What happens next in this investigation?
So right now, the next step in this investigation, is we've got the majority of the investigative task force out here, fire investigation task force out here. We've got the initial lead investigator, we've got secondary investigators, and we've got our arson detective accelerant dog on scene as well. We'll take neighbors' information, we'll talk to them, we'll take samples, and we're going to make sure that we do all of our due diligence for sure.
Was the 4-year-old trapped in a room or no?
Too early for any of that right now. Yep. Yes. I'm going to introduce Maggie Cox here.
All right. Sergeant Maggie Cox, Maggiecox, PIO, spokesperson for the Phoenix Police Department. So from this point, we can say that Phoenix Police will be handling the death investigation. We'll be able to provide updates, hopefully with the familial relationship as well as the names. It's too early to give any of that information right now. Is there any information, any questions that you guys have that I could try to answer?
Where does the police department take over after the fire department is done?
Well, we're responsible for the death investigation. It's the Phoenix Fire Task Force that's going to be working on the cause of the fire. So we will handle everything. At this point, we don't have any indication that it is a criminal, but we will be reporting and responsible for the death investigation. One thing that I would like to just say is not only is it a heartbreaking tragedy for the family, but the call takers that received the call, the first responders that came out here, everybody, the community is really feeling this. So our hearts and prayers go out to the family and then into the community, especially at this time of year.
For people who are unfamiliar with the task force, could you just give us a basic primer on what the task force is and
Can you speak?
the makeup of the task force? What kinds of people are on the task force and that sort of thing?
I'm going to ask Fire to field that.
Yep.
Field that question for me,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Yep. So within the last year, we looked at how we conduct fire investigations. And so there's always a handoff, like Sergeant Cox said, that when we look at the cause of the fire, if it does become suspicious, then it's criminal, then that's a PD investigation. What we decided to do is we took some veteran lead detectives from the Phoenix Police Department and we integrated them with our already existing fire investigators. We put them under one roof at Fire Admin downtown, and they all work together. They share a same office space. They speak the same language. So now there's not that disconnect. So now it's all one unit. We're still coming up on 1 year that it's been formed, and it's been highly successful in really speeding up that lag that we would have in both departments communicating on these investigations. So now we have them all together. They have the same shirts. So we've got Phoenix PD detectives working with Phoenix Fire investigators together. And once they come up with a determination, they turn it over to PD and say, these are our findings. Now, if you need to go track down any suspects or whatever, Phoenix PD takes that baton, finds suspects, makes arrests, does interrogation, whatever, we need to do with that from that point forward. So that's really the genesis of it. So it's new for us, but it's been just highly successful. They've had numerous amounts of breakthroughs in investigating and getting suspects and getting them booked in. So, like Sergeant Cox said, speaking to the investigators right now, early on, we are comfortable in saying, as of now, a few hours into this investigation, it does not look suspicious to us at this time. It looks like it was most likely of accidental cause.
One quick thing on the reaction to the first responders that
Yep.
responded less than 100 yards
Yeah.
away from their bay.
Yeah.
How are they taking it, and what's being done to help them?
Yeah, they took it very hard. Most firefighters are parents. I can tell you that there was also a newer probationary firefighter that was on this fire, and that's a really sort of a wake up to the career that you're getting into. But like we say in the fire and the police service, that's our job. We come to do it. We work through it. There's help if they need to talk about it, if they need a shift off. But firefighters and police officers, we get ready. The next call's coming within an hour. So you go back to work, and that's what we do. But again, we can't say enough, and I just echo on what the Phoenix PD said too. It's just a tragic time, especially this time of year. And unfortunately, they want to make every save when we go on these calls. So unfortunately, the child was probably deceased before arrival.
So as far as the cause of death in this investigation, fire related because it's not criminal, right? Or how are you?
If it becomes criminal, Phoenix PD will have it no matter what, because there's a death. Yes.
Okay, but at this time,
At this time,
died because of fire injuries.
yep, still initial. That's the initial early reports. So that can change. It's a fluid scene, but right now, the lead investigator relayed to me that early investigation and interviewing people on scene, it doesn't look like it was anything but accidental at this time.
Thank you,
All
Captain.
right, thanks guys.